Welcome to Wrestling with Hart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Hart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has worked for numerous promotions, talking about WWF/WWE, WCW. He's worked the independents, and he's got a book that he just wrote, and he's going to talk about it with us here on the show. I'm pleased to welcome the one, the only Barry Horowitz. Welcome, Barry, to Wrestling with Hart.
Wow. Thank you, Stanley. What an introduction. It's an honor to be here. And yes, I'm not only wrestling with Hart, I'm talking with Hart, and I'm talking to Stanley. And I'm as proud as I could be.
All right. Well, thank you again. It's my pleasure. Now, where did you grow up? Let's talk about your childhood.
I grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida. A nice community with my family. And was involved in different sports and whatnot, football, soccer. Wow, shoes. Of course, then I got the wrestling bug, and that stopped everything after, the baseball, a little bit of basketball, like I said, soccer, a little bit of football, but my really interest was wrestling.
And wrestling, that was something you watched as a kid?
Yes, I did. I started watching wrestling probably when I was 13 or 14 years old, and tuned into a channel. I think it's still relevant in the Tampa Bay area, is WTOG Channel 44, which aired the great championship wrestling from Florida, an iconic show with an iconic announcer, Gordon Soley, the man.
Yes. Definitely one of the all-time great announcers.
Yes.
Lots of people came out of there, that territory.
Yep.
What was it about wrestling that just made you like mesmerized and hooked at such a young age?
As far as intriguing me, I mean, I was a magician when I was very young and really thought that was the ticket. But as, a lot of kids, I want to be a hockey player. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse, whatever. The magician stuff was pretty cool. I did it for a little while, and I was probably just average, pocket magic, a little bit of stage things. But when I saw this wrestling match between Thunderbolt Patterson and Mr. Clean on Florida Championship Wrestling, that was it. That was it. And then my goal, my dream, my destiny, my journey, whatever you want to call it, it's all on a positive note, Stanley, that I'm going to strive. And what do? I'm going to start wrestling at a youth center in St. Petersburg for free. It's just, when I mean for free, there was no application, there was no enrollment. It was just, the boys club or what have you. And I started there. And then I progressed in junior high, high school, and college. And the thing was, I loved amateur wrestling, but was it in my mind to be an Olympic champion, NCAA, AAU? Sure, it would have been nice. I was good, but not that good as far as that progression went. But that was just the building blocks and the stepping stone to pro wrestling. My thought process was get a background, pay your dues in the amateur ranks, and learn a craft in amateur wrestling, then progress to pro wrestling.
Definitely, there are some similarities between the two because you're doing a lot of mat-based work. And as we know, there have been so many great amateur wrestlers that have transitioned to pro wrestling, talking about Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, so many other people that have made that transition successfully. What can you tell me about when you finally started training? Because you trained under the great Boris Malenko.
Yes.
And made your debut in the late 70s. I'd imagine when you start training and putting those reps in, it is so hard, and it's a kind of different kind of physical work that you're used to.
It is, but at a young age, I was striving. I mean, I had a part-time job. I'd hit the weights, and then I was with the Malenko family, Carl Gotch, Carl von Stronheim, and other special guests that would come in and just show us different things. But that was 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night in a condemned warehouse mattress factory, probably about 104 in the summer and about 40 degrees in the winter. And 40 in Florida in that type of building with just a bathroom and a ring is pretty cold. But before that, let's rewind just a bit. I trained on judo mats before he got that school. So I was bumping and taking bumps from Jody Malenko and various wrestlers on probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 inch judo mats for probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. Then we progressed to a 20-foot ring and a 16. And I just thought that was a waterbed compared to those mats. So yeah, I was there a total of 18 months, never missed a workout, never missed a session, ever. And I may be biased, but I was trained by the best. A lot of people say that. I know the wrestling business. I've been doing it professionally since I'm 21. I'm still striving. I'm still relevant. I'm still a part of it, physically, mentally. So yes, it was a really big thing as far as getting my craft honed.
Yes. And, it takes a lot of commitment and sacrifice to be able to put the work in.
I'm glad you said that, Stanley. I don't mean to interrupt you, but the commitment,
Okay.
the journey, the dedication, the discipline is a different animal. I mean, if you want to do it, in my eyes, the right way, however people break in or whatnot, or who taught them, that's their deal. I'm just going by my deal. Just like my book is just about me. It's not putting other people over. It's putting me over, but it's about my life and beyond that. So yes, did I strive? The dieting, discipline, as far as it was all about just lifting, wrestling, striving, reading, watching a lot of wrestling shows. Back then, NWA, Florida Championship Wrestling, Georgia, World Class with the Von Erichs, just watching these people. That was, see, with Malenko's, my foundation was built like a house, and I was in the basement. But when you graduate to building the first, second, third bedroom, the attic, the other bathrooms, that's called getting polished on the road. And that's where I went after I basically graduated from Malenko School. He'll tell you when to get boots. He'll tell you when to do this and do that. And I worked some indie shows for a few months under Sunbelt Wrestling. And it was pretty interesting. Again, I was learning and learning. And it just kept on building, kept on going up the stairs, if you will.
Yeah. And, you had 2 stints in the WWE as well as working in WCW. Let's talk about some of the people you wrestled against, because you were there for so long. Who are some of your favorite opponents that you got to work with over the years?
I liked working with everybody. I was in the business. I think I was a multifaceted wrestler as far as I could work with just about anybody. So, my forte, my passion, my favorite was another technical wrestler. People like Tommy Wildfire Rich, the Armstrong family, Tom Zink, Brady Boone, Brian Pillman. God, there's so many, and I don't want to miss anybody. Ben Jordan, Sam Houston, wow, Reno Riggins. There was so many different technical. Kurt Hennig. Anybody that was technically sound, that was my thing. Excuse me. And the biggest, of course, Skip, the whole Hart family, especially Owen Hart, and not because he passed, because I've had more matches with him than anybody in the universe. That's documented, and that's a fact.
What was Owen like to be around backstage?
I loved Owen. He was quiet. He joked with me. Who knows if he was ribbing me or not? I don't know. I really didn't care. I don't put over ribs, Stanley. If you want to do that, and if you're still doing it, I feel sorry for you. But a little joke here and there, I didn't have time for that. It's again, I'm busy on the road. I'm traveling with people. I'm listening to people. I'm studying the game to get better. The situation, I want everything to perfection. I mean, that's me anyway, type A personality. But it really kicked in when this is my this is my destiny. This is my world. There's not there was a plan B, and then it disappeared. So yes, it was just it was constant, and I didn't get tired of it or bored of it of anything like that. Or I mean, you have some rough things, the road injuries and whatnot, but yeah, just keep on striving, keep on trucking, keep on thriving.
Now, I've talked with so many people on the show about, the camaraderie that the wrestlers have with each other, going down the road from different towns, the city to city. Any fun stories you want to share about people that you got to be around?
No, God, there's probably some stories I can't tell, and there's some stories that are crazy and just funny, just nothing as God, there's just little silly things and stuff, and uh, wow, nothing really. I mean, wow, I'm just trying to think of different things of on the road. Um, I could say one thing. I love this trip I took with Nails, aka Kevin Kelly, and I was in a rent a car. I think I was in the back seat. Barry Darso was in the passenger seat. Nails was driving, and John Nord. And of course, I think back then you could rent big cars, Lincolns or Cadillacs. And Kevin Kelly, aka Nails, is a mastermind. He's a gearhead. He knows his cars. He knows the year. He knows the cylinders. He knows everything. I mean, he especially anything with machines. And I forgot where we were coming from. Um, wow, it was cold, and we're probably maybe in the north. Maybe I don't know if we're in St. Louis or not. I don't remember exactly. There's so many towns, um, and we're driving, and all of a sudden, Kevin decides to get off the interstate, and I don't know where we're like on a side street. Now there's nobody around. There's no dogs. There's no children. There's street lights, and he doesn't drink, and I don't drink, and I think Darso and Nord were doing the Minnesota thing between training with working out, deer stand, and the brewskis. That's the Minnesota way, in a good way, if you know what I'm saying. So they're doing all these things, and all of a sudden, Kevin's revving up the engine. He's got his foot on his brake, and he punches it. I mean, these tires are spinning for at least a minute to two. Smoke all over the place. He gets down the road. Maybe he just did it for, let's just say, 100 feet, Stanley. And he stops, looks back, opens the window, look at all that smoke. And he goes, "You know what I just did to this rent a car?" And I said, What's that, Kevin? He says, "I just took 4,000 miles off of those tires." I started cracking. I didn't know what to do there. Crack up, or you never know what Kevin is. Is it a joke? Does he mean it? And Kevin's a pretty cool guy, but I always got along with him, and I think everybody popped in the car. It was just hilarious. To him, that was a big deal. And after I thought about it, years come, I thought it was a big deal too. That's just
Wow.
many of the stories, different. There's so many stories, funny stories, sad stories, just a lot of ha ha and gaga.
And do you keep up with the product today at all?
I do to a point. Um, if I'm flipping the channel, Stanley, I don't care what company's on there. Uh, what I do is if I see Kurt Angle out there with Chad Gable, I'm stopping everything. I'm watching that whole match. I'm a student of the game. I still learn. When you stop learning, you better just stop completely. And I just I would watch that. I would watch something like that. Now, if I see Again, ha ha, gaga. I see somebody, I can tell when they walk through the ropes or they lock up. And normally I change it when I see something weak. I mean, there's nothing to learn. I'm not intrigued. I'm critiquing it in my mind, not knocking it, critiquing it. I mean, if I was a coach and the back room, in the locker room, and I'm watching the monitor, same thing. That's my job. That's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great talents out now and
Yes,
so
there
many
is.
great alternatives. I think it's a great time to be a fan of pro wrestling because
Sure.
everything is so accessible now. And I hope
Yes.
it continues in that direction in the future because we got a lot of great options for people to go to and to check out. And I think the wrestling business is in a healthy place.
Um, to a certain extent, it is. It is definitely, when I worked for Vince when he was a multi-millionaire, I never was there because I left for WCW, and he turned into a multi-billionaire. And there's other companies, but really, back then, wrestling was okay. It's pro wrestling. Let's just say when it first started, which it really came out of the carnivals and flea markets. It's just again, haha, and it progressed and it progressed. Now it's at the point where you got people like Tom Cruise or DiCaprio or anybody else in Hollywood or other sports. They're just I hear them on talk shows. Hey, that was the WWE way. I just gave him a WWE slam or something of that nature, and they're not making fun of it. The WWE, any huge company, TNA, Impact, whatever, you're mentioned by another sport or genre is the same thing as if you're talking about the NFL, NBA, soccer, Hollywood, country music, whatever. You are super duper relevant.
And I think we're just in a place right now where you're starting to see a lot of big actors really want to even participate in the business as well.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that, but see, this is where it separates. If you want to keep it like a shoot, of course, too much of a shoot in pro wrestling, you'll bore the people. So you got to do half wrestling, half sports entertainment. It works. They love it. If you did total entertainment, too much clown stuff, too much, some people don't like that. You've got fans that are historians and like wrestling. When you drive by Madison Square Garden, it says on the marquee, it doesn't say clowns, it doesn't say this, it says wrestling tonight in big block letters. So they want to see that. Some want to see the girls wrestle. Some want to see the tag match. Some want to see elimination chamber matches. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you do it well. I'm totally a fan of it. I'm just a fan of my work, what I like to do. I would not knock hardcore or this or that. I'm just not a part of that, and I don't do it. Just like I'm sure maybe hardcore wrestlers aren't a fan of technical wrestling or can't do it. I don't know. But it's like a menu, Stanley. You don't want to just go into. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, my cousin Vinny.
Hmm.
They're sitting at the counter. What's for breakfast? Uh, eggs and grits and toast. There's no thing there. You go to a wrestling menu. Oh, we got a tag match. We got the world title. We got the IC title. We've got the United States title. We've got a steel cage match. Are you
Variety.
kidding me? That's friggin' awesome. There's a there is a place for everybody, unless you're not good, or your gimmick's weak, or you're not over, or you're not a good worker. There's the exception, Stanley.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about some of the stuff you've done outside of wrestling. I know you've done a lot of charity work and things to help out in your community. Let's talk about some of the organizations that you've got to work with over the years as far as, doing charity work.
Well, I did number one. I did as far as charity interviews and stuff like that, because most of them I'm financially, it's part of the business, but there's some no, and then there's sometimes I'm in at the venues, and if there's somebody handicapped or whatnot, there's I go extra special for them, an extra special picture, an extra special piece of merchandise for them that's, given to them as a gift. As far as in my area, I try to keep up with the amateur wrestling and sometimes go there and watch. Some people know me, some don't. I don't want to take away from their practice and whatnot because it is a shoot. I'm a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of certain things that are broadcast on the radio and TV that aren't true. So I stay with the big boys. I stay with Metropolitan Ministries. I stay with Salvation Army, and I stay with the Goodwill. I try to contribute to all of them every year. And also my second home, Nashville, Tennessee, with their issues there with weather and the country music community, because I'm a huge country music fan and proud to say I was in a #1 country music video. Video of the year, song of the year. Pickup Man by Joe Diffie. God rest his soul. He went too soon from COVID, but a fantastic country music singer. He's definitely top 10 in the 90s. He's up there with Travis Tritt and Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson. If you're a country music fan, you'll know what I'm saying. So I just love it. It keeps me grounded, and it tells a story, and you can understand every word. As far as in the gym, I like my 80s rock, Motley Crue, Van Halen, Cinderella. But as far as chilling out, I love my country music, and I thank Tojo Yamamoto, again, rest in peace. When I would drive with him in his big Lincoln to the towns in Memphis, working for Jerry Jarrett, top 5 of my promoters as far as favorite and treating me well. I was only there for 7 months, and then I got a call from the WWF. But I would drive with him, and in 7 months, I couldn't stand that music. I was in the back, and Sato was in the passenger seat. Tojo's driving. I got hooked. I've been a country music fanatic fan since the later part of '87.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, I haven't stopped. Love it. Just love it.
So who's your favorite artist of
Oh,
all
boy.
time?
I got too many favorites, Stanley. I like I like Willie. I like Blake Shelton. I like Alabama. I like Rascal Flatts. Almost 98% of the country music female singers I like. Why? They could friggin' sing. And they look good. Huh. And they're great. I mean, come on. I mean, and you talk about charities, Stanley. Some of those people are unsung. They're not mentioned. Nobody knows about them, that they gave this to Nashville and they did this for Metropolitan Ministries of the Salvation Army. But one in particular, Dolly Parton, out there, big time. Research it. It's a fact. It's not playtime or haha. She's one of them, and there's many others that are unsung. So, yeah, Nashville, the country music community in general, I believe in them. They're hardcore. They love wrestling, and they participated.
Many times.
Many times, Stanley.
Was there like a particular event or function that you were involved in, or a moment that you like to share that was just so heartwarming for you as far as like giving back?
You mean, wow.
That you were involved in.
I was involved in. Oh, wow. Well, WrestleMania in Anaheim. That year was my year. I was up for a Slammy Award, Shocker of the Year. I was captain of my team in Survivor Series. I was in King of the Ring. I was in Your House matches. Wow, I was semi-main event with Skip in the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, a.k.a. the Igloo, a.k.a. that's where they filmed Sudden Death with Van Damme. A tremendous building, historic. I was just in Anaheim. I was part of the celebrity softball team against the 70s shows like Welcome Back Carter, the Partridge Family. We were against the reality stars there. So it was cool. It was the Slammies. It was just I was involved in everything. And then I remember at the hotel, which was I can't even remember the name of it, but it was By the way, that WrestleMania was the Anaheim at the Pond in California. And we were supposed to, I think there was 5 of us. We had to put full gear on. So I'm in my wrestling trunks. I think I had my jacket then or my suspenders. Excuse me. I forgot who else was with me. But we went into this cocktail party upstairs, huge ballroom. And we're shaking hands and just, networking, if you will. And then all of a sudden, there's the San Francisco 49ers, like 5 of them. I remember Ken Norton and a couple of other ones. I'm going back to probably 95. So we shook hands with them, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, that was something. I mean, I didn't let it get to my head or anything. It was just I go, wow, this is what I strive for. This is what I earned. I'm happy to be a small part of that. If it was there, great. If it wasn't, oh well. It's not like I didn't care, especially about my push or anything I've did in this business. I do care. But if you start thinking, well, they're not doing nothing with me or this and this, and I'll go somewhere else, sometimes that don't work for you, Stanley. You got to keep on going. You got to keep on going. You got to keep on striving. Never say never, especially in this business.
Yes.
There is only one guarantee in the wrestling business, and that is there is no guarantee.
What is it about giving back to you that gives you the most joy?
I just look at it like if it's a young child or of fans. I was at 2 years ago in Cleveland. No, was it Cleveland? Yeah, Cleveland I did a charity show for autism. That was huge. The man who picked me up was in charge. His son had autism. The whole event, the shirts, they were so cool. And it made me feel good because I'm a part of that. I'm giving something there. I talked to his son. It was all about autism. It was this school. I never seen a high school gym like this in my life, Stanley. We're just traveling nowhere. There's nothing around. All of a sudden, this building appears. Okay, go in there. I walked in that gym floor was like you could eat off of it. It was like a polished walnut or pine wood. The ring was immaculate. The fans, it was full. I have a gentleman come up to me, him and his son. He had autism a little bit, and he says, Barry, he says, we've been watching you. We drove 6 hours to see you just at your meet and greet table and to sign these articles.
Yeah.
It was humbling, and it made me feel good. I'm doing something. I'm not this big superstar, and I don't look at it that way. I'm just happy to be part of it. I feel blessed about that. So just like segue here as far as my book. Okay, so there is people, I guarantee you. First of all, there's any way to get my book signed, picture taken. Of course, you got to be at the meet and greet. I'm not doing it through the mail because that's an accident waiting to happen. Some people don't believe it. They don't know if that's your signature. What if it gets lost? But I guarantee you, if we could see that, if we could see it. So anyway, I'm showing the book. There's a reason because people are getting this off of Amazon as far as a month ago. I guarantee you, Stanley, I promise you, there's going to be 1, there's going to be 2, there may be more that I will sign here and there. And I guarantee you, let's just say it's a month ago, I may show up in Duluth, Minnesota for a meet and greet 4 years from today. Somebody's going to walk up. I know it. I know the fans. They're going to say, Barry, I've had this book 4 years. Couldn't wait for you to come to Duluth and sign this book. Would you please do it? Of course. Yes, I'm going to sign the book, take pictures with you with the book. They're getting 3 birds with 1 stone. I'm signing it. We're taking a picture together. And they got the book. I mean, they deserve it. Why not? I'm not out to gouge or scam people. I want to give them their money's worth. So it does happen. I've had people come up to me, that gentleman in Cleveland, 6-hour drive, or, hey, Barry, I got this from you last time, and it didn't get signed. Something happened. Maybe one of the official Barry Horowitz yarmulkes or stick pins or 8x10. I've got this 7 years. I've been waiting on. They're incredible. The fans today, Stanley, are respectful. I'm going to say 9.5 out of 10. They know the business. They know what they like. They're incredible. You got your few stragglers from 30 years ago that have their comments and whatnot. Oh, well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Good for them. So, but for the most part, incredible. Incredible, the fans. They're good. They're great. Like fans of NBA and NFL and country music and anything else. They're mostly, these people are historians.
Yeah, they remember so much.
Hey, didn't you wrestle Tommy Angel in 1983 in the Charlotte Coliseum? Yeah, I did. Yeah, my dad was there, or I was a baby, or unbelievable. It's incredible. That's cool. That
Definitely
is really
is.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
that they changed their mind, Stanley. They were conditioned from 20 and 30 years ago about enhancement and whatnot. Now they know what's going on. You try to work them, they're going to leave your table. Don't work a worker. Okay? They don't know 100% behind the curtain, if you will.
They don't know where the magic happens.
Right. They can lift it up that far and find about 40%. Okay? The other percentage they don't know about. Do you know why? They never walked in my shoes. I'm not going up to Tom Brady and telling him I used to play high school football and I could throw a spiral. How disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have that or something. Hey, I used to wrestle on the wrestling team, or I used to be pro. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the way they articulate it or pronounce it to me, or how they project it to me. There's ways of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
People skills, social skills, common sense. That's what you need today. You don't need 9 years of college. Believe me. That's a fact. In my world, anyway.
Well, Barry, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you on social media? If you want to plug your book, where can people get it?
Sure.
Feel free.
Yeah. Thank you, Stanley. First of all, thank you for this interview. And
Absolutely.
You tapped in on something that a lot of podcasters don't do and interviewers don't do is the charity thing. And a little bit, you've got, just like when I train people and do seminars, which is part of my thing, besides the meet and greets, and occasionally involved in a match. It's not about just getting through the ropes and locking up and grabbing a headlock. It's about the whole thing. Get the match over, get everybody over, involved, get the people over, treat your fans good. Don't shun them at the mall or the diner and act like a fool, because they look at you like you're a jabron. Be a pro. You don't have time, you're eating, you could pronounce it right. And if they don't understand that, well, I'm sorry. That's I don't know what to say about that, because I know how I would conduct myself watching somebody or doing something. My cameos are huge, all 5-star reviews, not putting myself over. Check it out. You could see everybody what they have to say. I give the fan what they want. Like Bill Belichick says, do your job. That could go for any walk of life career, if you really think about it. And I'm not trying to come off as some motivational speaker, or I'm the top dog, or I'm preaching. No, I'm just talking fact. It's called worldliness. So again, Cameo, YouTube, ProWrestlingTees.com, GTG, Good Times Guaranteed, live wrestling auction Wednesday with my business partner, Richie Sorrentino, the king of credit, and my shooting agent. He's the man. So check that out. It's awesome. But I think I've went through everything. Like I said, huge is the book. Of course, I love doing the wrestling seminars. They're like 3 or 4 hours. An indie promotion flies me in. I get in the middle of the ring, and I try to get 18 months of my training and my over 30 years in the business into 4 hours. That's hard. So you touch on a little bit of stuff.
Yes.
And you try to help them out with all different things. And I let them ask questions. And I actually tell them like I was told. I call it the Malenko way, a.k.a. the Horowitz way.
I love it.
But first and foremost is Boris Malenko and his family. That's first and foremost. And I've said this in my book, first and foremost is Lenny Greenberg, an entrepreneur in St. Petersburg, Florida, that actually introduced me. A friend of a friend introduced me to Lenny Greenberg. He passed away. Rest in peace. His family is awesome. They're retired in Indian Rocks Beach, as far as I know. And he opened that door for me. What was on the other side of that door? Boris Malenko and family. That's what was there. Without that door opening, would I have got in? I don't know. I approached different wrestlers, Mike Graham, Eddie Graham and stuff, and they treated me well, but they didn't crack that door for me. So they did it. Malenko opened the door more, and then when I started traveling, getting polished, the door was wide open. And it still is. Still learning. Still striving.
All right. Thanks again, Barry.
And I got a little present for you, and
Okay.
I hope you like it. Thanks again to Stanley. The podcast was awesome. You deserve the ultimate main event at the back. You're the man, Stanley.
All right. Thank you again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, thank you, Stanley. I enjoyed it. You're on.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
This is Wrestling with Hart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.